Welcome to the Art of Relationshiping. I'm Michelle Hoffman. I am your relationship coach, and today I am joined by Christine Baumgartner. And Christine and I are both expert dating and relationship coaches, so you're in the right place. Today we are going to talk about dating with your eyes wide open. And this has come up because Christine and I were talking about some of our clients who are faced with some really challenging situations in the dating pool, situations that you may have faced as well. And that there are deep fakes, there are people who aren't who they say they are, and there are people who, even though they intend the best, they may not be representing themselves accurately. So we perceive them as they aren't who they say they are, when in fact, they didn't even realize they were doing that. So we're going to help you with all of that. Um, and so I figured we would just go ahead and do this in conversation format. Christine and I will start, and then if you've got questions, you're welcome to raise them along the way. But we'll take a pause and invite a question or two, and we'll get through as much material as we can because we are here to help you as much as we possibly can find your relationship dream come true. So with that, I am balancing inviting people into the room. Pardon me for that, but um, I really wanted to start this conversation, Christine, with you talking a little bit about, I think you have an acronym FEAR, false evidence appearing real. And I think it's important to understand how to spot the difference between vigilance and awareness. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I'd be happy to. Thanks, Michelle. This is so exciting to have you all here. It means you really want to learn how to do this better because there's a rumor out there that is so false that everybody should just know how to date. And I'm here to tell you nobody does. Nobody does. Michelle and I took a bunch of, we've talked about our background and all the years we spent learning how to do this. And now we're excited to be able to teach you. So the the part of your brain that controls what you're looking for and what you see the most often is called your reticular activator system, RAS. It's located in your brainstem, and it was in factory installed by whoever built you at one point, and you're getting ready to be birthed. And you have no control over that it's going to do this, but you have control over what you're noticing. So I'm a widow, and my late husband was in the car business for most of his life. And he said the least popular color car for people to buy was blue. So, of course, the manufacturers don't make a lot of blue cars. But one of the assignments I give my clients is to notice blue cars for a couple weeks, and you'll be amazed how many blue cars you're going to see. Not because there's more blue cars, it's because you're thinking about them and looking for them and noticing them. So, in the dating arena, what typically happens is we've had a bad experience, a real terrible experience. We broke up with them, we got divorced, somebody was mean to us, they treated us terrible, and it was a good thing that we're not with them anymore. But what we do as human beings is we're like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye out for that thing, for the narcissist, for the person who's mean, who doesn't want to make a commitment, the person who is whatever the thing is we don't want. And we keep staying very vigilant about looking for it. And I got to tell you, you're going to see it a lot, just like the blue cars, because that's what you're looking for. So you think, well, how would I stay safe? What's the other alternative? There is an alternative to now say, okay, this is what you don't want. You don't want somebody that won't make a commitment. So you start looking for and learning how to ask, which is what Michelle and I teach, to find somebody that really is ready to make a commitment, not necessarily to you because you don't know each other, but they're open-hearted. They've healed their wounds. And if you're only looking for that, you don't need to look for somebody who doesn't want to make a commitment. You're only going to look for somebody who wants to make a commitment. And your reticular activating system is really good at that and will now concentrate on finding that person. So if you are finding the same wrong for you person over and over, here's the solution. And I have to tell you what Michelle and I tease about is the words that come out of our mouth sound really easy. And we are very clear that the implementation can sound hard, which is why we walk alongside you while you're doing it.
I'm going to mute everyone.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, so Christine, take yourself off mute. There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Thank you for that.
Yes.
So Christine, thank you for that because it's important to remember that any energy flows where the awareness goes.
Mhm.
And that way, thank you. So we know when we're working with clients, and Christine and I can work in tandem together to support you and or individually, and we will put our contact information in the chat if you'd like to schedule a call with either of us. And then if it's something that you'd like to do to work with both of us, we can tell you how to do that. Um, but the reality is, when you have a compelling vision of not only who you are today, I call that your personal profile. What brought you to be who the person is that you are today? Your life experience, your nature, nurture, and the story you've told yourself through life that chisels you to make the most important decisions that you make. That's actually how you become who you are today in the world. You can be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the very same moment. And with that, again, I call that your personal profile. Understanding who you are in the world helps you understand who is, well, how to represent yourself accurately. And then when you have an idea of who you'd like to step into becoming, not only as an individual, but as a partner in a healthy partnership, that gives us the tools to know who the right type of person is to invite into your life. And I always say it's easier to find a needle in a haystack when you have an idea of what your needle looks like for you. So when people work with me, for example, we increase your confidence on average 248%, which is a big shift in how you experience life overall. And when you have the confidence that you have self-value, self-worth, and the clarity to know who is right to invite into your life closer and who to recalibrate a little bit of distance from, it helps you understand not only in intimate relationships, but with all of the relationships in your life. Then, once you've got an idea of your personal profile and who's the right person to invite into your life, we actually get into the granular detail of that. What kind of personality would be a perfect match for you? What are your core values? What's the value you bring to a partnership? So you know how to represent that. And what values would you like to invite into your life to enhance your life experience that much more? And then also we add, what would you like your life to be like, not only as an individual, but in partnership? So we talk about lifestyle priorities. Today, your life might be a very specific way as a unique individual. In partnership, would you like a lot of that to change or a little bit of that to change? And where do you put your focus? Because as Christine says, if we're talking about blue cars, you're going to start looking for blue cars. I think there was a game once where it's like, don't think of white polar bears. And then, you can't not think about them. So with that, once we understand our personal profile, and we know the right type of person to invite in through personality qualities, our core value system, our lifestyle alignment, and circumstances, of course. Then we know how to move forward and how to set the foundation of a relationship. But let's talk a little bit about how to pre-vet a date through conversation even before you meet them, because that's a big deal. So let's get a little bit engaged here. In the chat, one, Christine, will you put your contact information in the chat?
Sure.
Oops. So you are welcome to go to, I'm putting my contact information in there. I think that'll do it. The Art of Relationshiping is the name of my business. And if you'd like to set up a strategy call with me, you're welcome to do that. You can choose 20 minutes. And because you're here, I'm actually happy to, if you can find time on my calendar, find a 50-minute window in there. You got it. And we'll talk about what might be holding you back from loving life in love right now. So, what we were just saying was, I'm curious to know of all of you in the room, how many of you are ready for a relationship on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being low, 10 being high. We're at 10. Ethan is at 10. A 0, not quite ready yet. 7, we're doing some research on that. A 7, a 10, a 7, a 5. 5, 5, 5, 5. We got some zeros and nines. So we're all across the board, and that self-awareness is very, very valuable. So we're a 99. Come on, Lisa. Let's get this party started.
Well, 100. Wow.
And oh, Amir. Hi, good to see you. Um, we got some 99s and some hundreds. Great, great. We're there.
Hi, how are
So,
you?
hi, good to see you.
Thank you.
Um, whether you are so ready, or you're self-aware and you're like, you know what? I really need to learn the relationship skills to find a partner who can be co-creating a relationship in tandem with me. That's a big deal. For those of you who aren't ready, we need to build your relationship skills. And for those of you who are ready, do what level relationship skills do you think you have on a scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, or 0 to 100, it sounds like, but 1 to 10. So, are you relationship ready is a very different question than are you ready for a relationship? So, if you've got the level 10 relationship skills, so that's what we're asking now. So 7, 5, 1, 10. Awesome. So that means you know who's right for you. You know where and how to meet this person. You know how to set the foundation of the relationship. You know you can trust yourself 100% of the time to navigate challenges in partnerships, and knowing that you can even raise difficult topics so that difficult topics aren't difficult to raise. So we're again, we've got some tens, 8, 10, 5, 7. So this is if you're at, a relationship 5, still contemplating what a relationship looks like for me. That's awesome. Then do you have level 5 relationshiping skills or more? Because you really want to be in partnership with somebody who is matching where you're at, and then together you're raising the relationship up. Okay, so let's now talk about how many of you know what you would do before you even meet someone to see if they are the right kind of person for you. What would you go ahead and put it in the chat? And if you have some big contribution, you can raise your hand. No idea. I'm just being a homebody, so nobody will never meet me. So how will it even work for me? I think you just wrote lyrics to a country western song. Um, Ask questions. Nice. I am ready. Yeah. So if you're not getting off the couch and you expect somebody to deliver, um, some food and say, hey, by the way, I'm the perfect match for you, it could happen, but I don't know. And I haven't heard it happen yet.
Jeff
Ask
Bezos
questions.
has not added that to the Amazon delivery.
Right. Ask a lot of questions. Ask if they respect their mom and dad. Okay, that might be relevant. If you value family and interpersonal relationships like that, all I do is work while I do order DoorDash. Maybe that'll happen that way. We used to play a game. As a kid, I mean, it's interesting that I do this professionally now, but as a kid, we had a game board called Mystery Date. Do any of you know this game? And you do.
I
The two
remember it.
people who do this professionally know the game. It was a game board like Monopoly or Life or, you know, whatever Risk, but in the middle there was a door, and it was a real game. Yeah, now we're playing the real game. And you'd secretly put a card under the door with a picture of your mystery date, and you'd open the door, and that's your date. Um, so, okay, the question here is to how would you pre-vet a date through conversation? What would you ask to see if somebody was the right kind of person for you? And now the chat goes silent.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one, if they respect their mom and dad. So here's I'm going to give you some secret tips. Ready? They should not be secret. When you have an idea of what is most important to you, then you're going to know who what the questions are to ask. So Lisa is suggesting, what are you looking for in a relationship? So here's the deal on that. That's a big question. It's a good one. If they are honest in their answer and they are articulate and intelligent enough to know how to answer that question, then you have found somebody really, really cool. And we want that, of course. What I find more often than not is people aren't sure. So, how do you get sure? Would
And I'd
anyone
love to add something to that.
please do?
Certainly, what I've learned personally and professionally is if you look in the regular Webster dictionary under relationship, there's often more than one definition in the dictionary. So, why we assume the other person has the same definition for that word isn't very helpful. So, what we need to do is say, this is what I'm looking for. Tell me what you're looking for, or what your definition of this word is. Because otherwise, we completely miss each other and misunderstand and miscommunicate right from the beginning.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If she's looking for a serious relationship, as I am, when do you want your goal to be real? How soon are you ready to stay in a relationship with one person? I love all of these answers. Here's what I'm going to tell you a story about one of my clients. And in her profile, she said, I love to travel, drink wine, and eat great food. And it's so interesting to me that a lot of people will say, I like hiking and pizza or travel and these kinds of things because generically those things are true. Now, this individual is extraordinary, and most of her travel was business travel. And so she stayed in the finest hotels in the world, and she traveled first class. And she's got a fine palate, and she loves good wine, like really good wine. So what would happen is a really cool guy would ask her out, and she would order a $400 bottle of wine on a Tuesday, and he would get really angry with her. So they both like wine, but her idea of a bottle of wine and his idea of a bottle of wine were widely different. Her idea of travel was widely different. He wanted to go and stay, like motorcycle ride and go camping, while she's flying first class, staying at fine hotels. So we adjusted her profile to be more accurate, get a little more granular, be a little bit more definitive in what kind of hiking, what, kind of biking, what kind of travel. So she said she travels primarily for business. She flies first class. She eats at Michelin-starred restaurants. She stays at the fanciest hotels. And when she gets the wine list, she's whisked away to the vineyards, the heated vineyards of Bordeaux. What shifted was she started to date a gentleman who wasn't a sommelier, but had an extensive wine cellar. And he was more than happy to open a $400 bottle of wine on a Tuesday because he knew she was appreciating it as much as he did. That's how you find the perfect match. So, in addition to the matching on a little bit more granular level, again, I of course use the personality qualities, the core values, the lifestyle alignment, and the circumstances because then we create open-ended questions to engage the conversation. So you can see if faith is of tantamount priority to you, then asking questions like, how do you enjoy the holidays? Probably should be one of the first questions you ask. If traveling internationally, how often do you get your passport stamped? Those kinds of things. And Christine, would you like to speak to some other things that you could consider asking about while before you even meet someone to see if you're going to actually be engaged and want to be a curious detective and have a good time spending time with this person? So, Christine, do you want to add some things to that?
I'd love to. So the way that I came up with my company name, which is The Perfect Catch, because it's what I was my first client before I became a coach 17 years ago, was I had to learn to be what I would consider be the perfect catch. What am I bringing to the relationship? What's my gifts in the world? And then what do I really need and want from the other person so that I'll attract the perfect catch for me? So what I came up with was something similar that you're talking about is what were the most top, I made a whole list of all the things that somebody had be, do to be in my life. But what were the top three? So is it religion or politics or physical activity level or family or travel? Mine is I'm a dating relationship coach. You need to think that's interesting and not intimidating. That's really important to me, which it's really fat. It's a very easy thing to say if you're going to run, run now, because we're not each other's people. So I came up with, and I help my clients come up with what are the top three things that you need to share about you and find out about them. And what's really interesting is if you go into this very first conversation with them before you've even met them, saying, let me tell you a little bit about me. And first, you're going to find out, are they interested in learning about you? And then you tell them, this is about me. And then you say, and tell me in that area what I'm so curious, what's happening with you in that area. So are you, if there you want to find out about religion, what was the most recent talk you went to and why was it inspiring what the pastor said? Or wow, how many passports are you on now, because I just love to travel and I'm on my fifth? Or wow, I spend every other weekend with my family, it's really important to me, tell me about your relationship with your family. And it's such a fun conversation because you're sharing about yourself, which is kind of very scary and brave, and so you're learning to practice doing that, and you're giving the other person a chance to share with you without saying right or wrong as a person, but right or wrong for me. Because if we stop judging people for that they're different than us, we can stay more open about, oh, there's just not for me. It's not me, but wow, they're really an interesting person. And I'm really excited to talk to them as a person. But yeah, they're not going to be my person. And we stop getting discouraged and frustrated because, oh, there's nobody, there's nobody. Well, there's lots of lovely people out there. They just might not be your person. So if you have just three questions to see, do you want to see them at all? And then the first time you see them, you ask three more questions to see, do I want to spend more time with them? And it makes it for a I've learned interesting things about people I didn't want to see a second time, but wow, they were fascinating people doing fascinating things. And then if you have things in common, you're like, I can't wait to see them again, which is what happened with my late husband.
Nice. So you want to ask enough questions before you're investing time in someone so that you know you're going to enjoy meeting them regardless of the outcome. And if you're not a match, totally fine. Free them up to actually pursue their match, which frees you up to pursue yours. In the chat, it seems like we've got some really interesting people. I highly encourage you to private message one another if there's someone here who you'd like to know more about. That's part of the reason you're coming to these things so that you can find people who are self-selecting in to ask the right questions and see if you found your match right here, right now. Hooray. If we can help you as quickly as possible find love now, we have helped you that much more quickly. In the meantime, we're going to help you build the relationshiping skills so that you can find the right person. And what I was telling you about, there's something that I made up this word future casting. And in your brain's eye, if you're looking at me now and you're only seeing half my face, your brilliant brain is trying to figure out what is she hiding? What is there that I don't know about? And that would put your reticular activating system and your amygdala on alert, high alert. What is going on with her? This is what I believe is happening when you're future casting. Say you've connected with someone and you haven't met them in person yet, but you're very excited about who they might be. And we want to vet them to see that they are legitimate and real and they are who they say they are. I literally just asked them, I'm wondering if you would please share some public information to demonstrate that you are who you say you are. There are occasions where someone may get mad about this, may ghost you right then and there. That should tell you they're not the right person for you because they're either not who they say they are or they're not someone who's caring about your safety and security. However, if they are somebody who gives full authentication, no problem, happy to share who I am and all of that, then they're showing you a little bit more of the whole picture and there's nothing to worry about. These are different types of power. When you're future casting, you're anticipating what that other half of the face might be like. You only have part of the jigsaw puzzle image, and what we want to do is clarify as much as the image as possible. And it may take a few dates to get there. I believe that all relationships follow the same cycle, from chemistry to casual to that meaningful, committed partnership that we are all looking to connect with. And the way to go through those different parts of the process are through shared experiences, through communication. That builds the respect that you really do want in a partnership. And over time, develops the trust that we're looking for in that meaningful relationship in a way that someone could make decisions on our behalf and we would trust that they are the right decisions that they're making.
And
So,
one of the things that happens for our benefit is we start trusting ourselves. Because if we aren't meeting the right people or they're not acting the way we want, we start saying, well, gosh, I can't trust myself. I don't have a good picker or good instincts. And we have amazing instincts. We just don't know the tools to bring it forward and use it, as Michelle's explaining.
so there are different types of power and there's different types of ways that we connect. So, one of the questions, hey, got a question. How do people add each other as friends from this app? So it's not possible to do it on Zoom here, but you're welcome to private message one another and then share information that way if you'd like, um, in a safe way. And don't give personal identifying information ever. Meet in public places. Couple of things that we just want your eyes wide open. They could seem like the nicest person. Never share bank routing information when you're first meeting someone. Exchanging money is the wrong way to go. Um, so make sure that you're being safe and that you have, I call this person a dating partner in some ways, someone who you trust to let them know where you're at and who you're with and when you're back, and you can do the dating debrief after that. So our next topic is um, there are people who are looking for attention and there are people who are looking for connection. Which one are you looking for? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Attention or connection? You can put A or C. So if you're looking for attention, put an A, a bit of both. If you're looking for connection, you can put C. Awesome. So we've got some of, and we got B. So it's both. I like how you made that up. Awesome.
Mhm.
You want a lady who could talk to me. Good. So let me tell you the difference. And I'm going to tell you with a little story about my client. We moved him through grief of the loss of a relationship. And it could be the loss of, he in his case was a widower, but it could be that it was the loss of the relationship you thought you should have had if it's divorce, or the loss of the time that you spent when you thought you were in a different type of relationship moving forward. So the relationship that you thought you wanted to be having, but it's now. So there's a grief process to move through that. And when he started dating, the first two women he chose, he took them out to a beautiful meal. He said they had a great time. But he also mentioned one thing, that in both cases, these lovely ladies took pictures of their food and pictures of themselves. Do you think that these two ladies, and you can go ahead and put it in the chat, were looking for attention or connection, A or C? Um, A. Yeah, they were looking for attention. They actually posted those images, self-absorbed, turn off. Yeah. They'd post those images on social media to get that social approval for that type of attention. I have a wonderful client, and she went on the dating sites as she's heterosexual, but she went on as a male to see what the competition looked like. And she was like, oh my God, the competition is fierce. These women are beautiful, they're very accomplished. And so she went out and she did sort of not a boudoir photo shoot, but like a Sports Unlimited. Was it called Sports Unlimited? That's not it. What was the swimsuit collection, that magazine?
Sports Illustrated.
But thank you, Sports
Mm.
Illustrated. So she, and I mean, the picture was beautiful. She's in a bathing suit, she's arching her back, the wave is coming up, and she posted it. And what type of um, people do you think approached her with that? Was she getting attention or connection? Put it in the chat. A or C? A. Yep. A. So she got all kinds of attention. It was the wrong kind of attention. And she actually got very nervous because this was not the type of relationship she was looking for. She was very faith-based. She wanted a partner who would integrate into her family. She wanted to have children. And so she realized that she was gaining attention and not connection. Attention actually inspires the hormone dopamine to be released. And that neurotransmitter, it's very exciting. It encourages you to want more. You've heard all kinds of things about dopamine. It actually creates addiction. And so dopamine fun, it's the short-term satisfaction, but what we're looking for in meaningful partnerships is connection. So how do you switch from that attention dopamine to connection and emotion? That is, you spend some time getting to know someone. You build that relationship and respect and trust by going from chemistry to casual to that meaningful, committed partnership. So you can maintain your own identity and individuality and together share the intimate inside jokes, the pillow talk, the hand in hand walks on the beach, the things that you can't wait to hear how their day was, to celebrate something, and you're sharing life celebrations and challenges in partnership together, where you're going to support one another along the way without losing in the individuality of who you are. So that's how you build connection. So, with that, um, our next topic is knowing your goal before you ask the question. Christine, can you speak to knowing your goal before you ask the question so every conversation moves you toward clarity, not just information?
Yes, so often people, they say, "Oh my gosh, we talked about everything." And I'll ask about the subjects. And well, we both like Chinese food and Mel Brooks movies. But if we go back to what are the most important things that are important to you as well as you need them to be important to the other person, you need to ask questions that get you that answer. So you come prepared. People say, oh, it's not very romantic, but it's really not romantic to keep going out with somebody. And then 6 months later, you're like, oh, there's this thing that I didn't ask about ahead of time, where Michelle and I would not let that happen. You would have asked that question way ahead of time. So to get really clear about what is important to you for them to be or do or have, and what are the things that you want them to like that you be or do or have. So crafting those questions is essential because one of the things that's really important is to feel really comfortable and confident while you're having this conversation with somebody. Because I coach both men and women for all these years, and they both equally tell me that one of the most attractive things about the other person is when they seem self-confident, when they seem comfortable in their body, they seem comfortable having a conversation. Even if you're a little excited and nervous, you still feel really confident about who you are and what you're there for, and that you are excited to have a conversation with them to find out, do you all want to see each other a second time? And building up your self-confidence for the people that have the lower numbers is really the place to start. So that then when you are putting yourself out there just in the world, having conversations with people in general, you're going to be able to say the words. Because I have to tell you, what people say all the time is, well, I want to wait till they're really cute. And I say, how does that go? They go, I go, blah, 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 blah. So if you practice ahead of time, then you'll more eloquently can talk when somebody seems very attractive to you. And the other thing I hear people say often is, I really want to be in a relationship and I really don't want to do this dating thing. Well, that's really the path. And if you say, okay, I'm going to do this dating thing, can I make it fun? Can I make feel like I'm moving forward? Yes, absolutely guaranteed. That's what we talk about all the time with our clients.
Nice. And we've got one more topic, and then we can open the line up for questioning. And Christine, please put your contact information into the chat again so people can set up a call with you if they'd like.
Sure.
And this is about, there's one thing to know the right questions to ask. There's also the ability to that are personal and very specific to you. It's another thing to be able to read the cues. And I think this is a little bit harder sometimes, especially in this day and age. And people are concerned, what if I send the wrong message through my body language or through my word choice and somebody gets offended in some way? I don't want them to, just trash my reputation publicly because they misinterpreted something that I said or, some body signal. So, Christine, can you speak to that for us?
I was typing. Would you say it again, please?
Yeah, so this is the big kahuna question that started this workshop because I had a couple of clients come to me and they said, I'm very worried that someone may misinterpret my intentions and I don't want them to thrash my reputation publicly because I was showing interest in them.
So the very one of the most important things is to keep your emotional investment in the beginning at a zero until you've met them. And then once you've said, this is who I am, and tell me about you for these three important things, and you say, yes, I'd like to see them a second time, and they want to see you a second time, they get to be a one. So no matter what happens, you have this tiny emotional investment. Truly, no matter what happens. So, because that's why people go, oh my gosh, I went from 1 to 35 because we had all these things in common, and then there's a big impact. But one of the things I teach, I had the pleasure of coaching for John Gray for the first 2 years I was a coach, and I have such a wonderful basis understanding of how we men and women miscommunicate and misunderstand that I'll say, this is what let me tell you about me. Gosh, what do you think about that? And tell me back, because then you hear back, what did they hear? Because as human beings, there's this gremlin out there that what comes out of our mouth, when it goes in another person's ear, sometimes it gets kind of messed around, or we have that whole different definition thing. So if in fact you reconfirm, oh yeah, that's what I said, thanks. And what do you think about that? What makes them feel like, gosh, you really thought what they said was important. They made it feel like what you said was important. And then if somebody has a misunderstanding and says something terrible, you now have a slow emotional investment about it. And often I just say, move on, move on. Or you can say something back. But having a low emotional investment is the thing that saves everybody, especially early on in dating, where you don't care because they really are still a stranger. We go, oh my gosh, we talked on the phone, we're in a relationship. No, we went out one time, we're in a relationship. No, you're getting to know each other. You're keeping the emotional investment, at least for you, because you have control over you, to a low number so that whatever they say or do, and if they go off and misunderstand, it isn't on you because you did your best about being understood. Did I answer your question?
So the other aspect is how do we show interest in our body language without coming on too strong?
Oh, yes. So, boy, you can sure tell. I love watching people out, like at a restaurant, and I think this is their first meeting, who's leaning in and who's not. So, one of the things I tell women is We really are into the energy, which is why you cannot have a higher number than zero till you've sat in their energy. How do they feel when you're sitting across the table from them? How does that feel? Do you feel comfortable? Does your body feel relaxed? I shake hands the first meeting. Hello and goodbye. I hug at the second meeting. If I'm going to see him a third time, I'm going to see how it feels to kiss him. But while I'm there at the first meeting, after I've shook their hand, at some point during our time together, I'm going to touch their hand or touch their shoulder because I want to see how that feels to touch them again because I'm a very physical, sensitive person. And so, what I tell men, if she's now touched you, you could touch her back in the same way. If she touched your hand, you can touch her hand. If she's touched your shoulder, you can touch her shoulder. Because we've now, if you've ever been to the theater, the thing between you and the actors is called the fourth wall. So they break the fourth wall sometimes when they talk to the audience. So if a woman has touched a man, she's now broken the fourth wall and is 99% comfortable with you doing the same thing back. So leaning in can indicate that you're interested, not crossing your arms, having a more open physical stance, and touching somebody. It really shows them that you're feeling relaxed with them. It doesn't say, I want to go to bed with you tomorrow. It's just saying, I'm feeling comfortable sitting with you. I want to spend more time with you. And when you give eye contact, I look away when I'm thinking, but then I always come back. But I look away when I'm thinking and I always come back. So I need to see if somebody's going to be okay with that because I'm never going to change that part of me. So, did that answer that question?
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now, let's open up the forum. If you would like to raise your hand, either your virtual hand or your real hand, we can call on you and we can actually answer your questions. Here you go. It's very rare that you get two experts. What is a challenge that you would like to overcome so that you can be in your relationship dream come true? Lisa B., you have made the most interesting comments, some of the most interesting comments. I'm super curious to hear your questions. So come on, come off mute. Let's see how we can move the needle for you. I think she's trying to unmute. Lisa
Yeah.
B., talk to us.
I don't know.
There.
I hit a text and
Now she's texting someone. Wow, she moves fast. She's
can
already
you
got
hear
it
me now?
going before the answer comes. Yeah, we can hear you. What kind of question can we help you with?
How do you avoid having sex too soon? I'm 51. I mean, I don't have time to wait 3 months to meet somebody or do you know what I mean?
Yep, I know what you
Sex is
mean.
important. I mean, I got the drive. A lot of women after hysterectomy or at our age lose their sex drive. I'm not there.
Great.
So how do you go about building a relationship when all you think about is sex and you know?
So there's, can I answer this one, Christy?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
I'm so on it.
Yeah, we talk about how we talk about sex with our clients all the time.
Thank you.
So you are a very alive, feminine person.
Yes.
The person who gets to answer that question is you. Ah, she says, I thought you were going to give me a definitive answer. Here you go.
No, because I don't have sex with everybody. I'm very selective, but when I have that select, it's very difficult to back off, you know?
All right. Because you are a sexual creature, it's amazing. So here's some things I just want to share a little bit of some science with you.
Okay.
Traditionally, a traditional male will release testosterone when he has sex. With that, that's his, I've conquered, I'm off to the next person. A female tends to release a different set of neurotransmitters, and those would be the serotonin, I want to connect with you, the oxytocin, it's called the love cuddle hormone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what happens is when female, and this is in the traditional sense, we're open to all the spectrum in between, but I'm just for the sake of, in a traditional sense, the female will be that vulnerable to actually connect in a meaningful way. The way to shift that hormone release from the male's perspective is to create that emotional connection first. Now, we want to make sure that you're having fun, Lisa, and that you're getting your rocks off and all your needs are being met. So, for you, I would suggest that we make sure that's happening. At the same time, we want you to know who is the right kind of person for you. Are you looking for a long-term relationship, one-to-one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So we want to give you that clarity of who are you in the world. This is only one tiny aspect of you. Chemistry matters. Chemistry also really heightens in a beautiful way when you've invited someone in who's going to be an equal match to you. It's
You try to
so
win them over with sex. That's what I've done, and I lose.
right. So that's the whole thing because they've got a whole different, I call this what game are you playing? They're coming in to have the experience and take off. Whereas you're saying, hey, if I can show up and share the most intimate side of me, will you then step up as my perfect partner?
Yes.
And you're playing very different games.
Yes.
Although the entanglement is very similar, but you're
Not
playing
really.
different games. Okay,
Yes.
so now we're learning a little bit more. So if we can support you to make sure that you're having fun along the way, and that you have 100% clarity on who's the right kind of person to invite into your life. Would that be worth having a sidebar conversation to get all of that information so that when you go and dive into the dating pool, you know who you're connecting with? Not only is the right kind of partner for you, the personality is the kind of partner you want to partner with for a long time, and that together you can explore intimacy in a really meaningful way because you are still very much, that part of you is very much alive. And by the way, we're designed to continue that party game until the day we die.
So I've
So,
also, sorry to interrupt, but I've also experienced that you wait, you wait, you wait, but then as soon as they got it, they run.
right. So you haven't created that emotional connection yet. And if you're repeating this pattern, we need to up level your relationship skills so that you can connect in a way that they are going to not only stay, but that together you're going to create a relationship like you've probably never had before. And it's also important to know that you have more value to bring to the relationship in addition
Thank
to
you.
your sexuality.
Thank
Uh,
you.
And in my mind, intimacy is a high form of communication. So it seems to me that you're focusing a lot on one topic in the conversation, and there are many topics to be discussed. Does that make sense to you?
It does. I thank you.
So you might want to put some time on my calendar or
Thank you.
Christine's.
Challenge that we hear from women and widowed men, since I coach widowed people as well. I've
Yeah.
been divorced and widowed. Widowed men have the same challenge, Lisa. I want you to know because their hearts are still open. And when they have sex, they feel an emotional connection. Where people that haven't been widowed, divorced people, as I was too long time ago, you shut down part of your heart. So, in order to have a man to really, as Michelle so eloquently said, I knew that my late husband, who had been married and divorced twice before I met him, would have stood in front of a speeding car, would have pushed me out of the way and let the car hit him
I love
because
that.
we developed an emotional relationship before. I have a very high libido too, but I waited because I learned this skill, which is what I didn't know I was going to end up teaching for 17 years, to now vet a man that is he now going to be emotionally connected to me before I allow him to put part of him inside a part of me. I mean, that's the thing that Michelle's talking about. And I had to learn it's not something that anybody teaches us. Yeah, but
All right.
everybody can learn. Everybody can learn. And it sounds like you're really ready.
You're
Time is
ready.
You
essence.
take
And
Michelle
yeah,
up on her offer.
yes.
So we've got a question in the chat. I have a question. Someone wants to know how to stay connected and date someone that's in a different part of the country as them and make it a relationship. So this is the infamous geographically undesirable. Do you want to
So
speak
I
to
could
this
answer
one?
that because I have a number of clients that are in long distance relationships.
Yep, go for it.
So you the way that you structure, so this is when we go back to who am I? How much time on the phone do I need? How much time do I need on Zoom? How much time do I need in person with you? And you start talking about that really soon when you're now discussing somebody who's a plane ride or a very long car ride away. And to see, are you both willing to make these compromises, and are you both, oh yeah, I want to text all day and I want to Zoom a couple times a day and I want to meet you every 6 weeks. And so I've helped my clients structure this so that they get commitment. Both of them are on board. And I have one right now that it's been 5 years because she's retired, but he's not, and they will be relocating, but they have this very specific structure in place and they're very content with what's going on right now. So it's so doable, but you need both people to know their things that they have to have, and then find the person that goes, yeah, yeah, I could do that. Or could you do it this way with me? And we come up with lots of negotiation where nobody feels like they lost and everybody feels like they're winning. So regular communication, trust, regular seeing each other, whatever you can work out. And I've had a number of them move to one or the other's house. I've had some of them move to different houses together because they still wanted to live apart together, but they moved to the same zip code. And I've had some that have stayed apart. It's just worked best for them. So it's such a solvable thing, which seems so monumental when you think, oh my God, they're on the other side of the country, but it's not fatal.
Right. You absolutely can have a real relationship through technology.
Hmm. Even
Um,
nowadays, it's so much more.
it's a very different relationship than the traditional one.
Mhm.
Um, but you absolutely can. I actually get to teach the art of relationshiping to high schoolers. These are young people who go to school full time virtually because the parents are in the military or they move around a lot or for whatever reason. And I loved the first time I taught this, I'm like, here's the curriculum, but it's your course. What would you like to learn? And you'll be happy to know it was unanimous. They wanted to learn the real relationshiping skills to build real relationships in real life. And I'm like, whew, thank goodness. Um, by the same token, what I learned from them is they have a very sophisticated communication style that they use to build real relationships through technology. So it can absolutely happen. So yeah, the age range of my clients go from, in that case, it's a high school venue, but up to 87 years old. And I have a client who I wished her a happy birthday, and she sent me a picture. Her boyfriend took her to Greece. And so she sent me a picture of the two of them enjoying lunch in Athens. And she said, "Thank you, Michelle. I may have died without ever knowing what true love truly feels like.
That's
And this has changed my life." And I said, "Oh my God." And this was her 84th birthday, and she's 87 now. So you're not too old. You're not, you're young enough, you're thin enough, you're attractive enough, you're smart enough, you're wealthy enough, you're high up enough on the social hierarchy. It's all there.
so my youngest one is 27 and the oldest one, she's now 86, but she was 82 when we met, and she'd been widowed twice and wanted, she's, I have no idea. It's been 40 years, happy marriages, they're gone. I don't know what to do. And so she says, but I want to get married again. I said, great, but tell me, this could happen again. She goes, I have all this love to give and receive. And they've now had their fourth wedding anniversary. So how cool is that?
Yay. All right, I see a question. How do you ask someone about their health without seeming too intrusive? It's important to me. This comes up a lot.
A lot.
You want to answer that one?
Sure. So first you talk about yourself. These are things that, at whatever age you are, this is what I could do before and what I could do now. And this is how active I am. And this is how I take care of my health. I'm so curious. How do you take care of your health? And the thing that I know about all these lovely Y chromosome faces on here is they will tell you the truth. We don't always believe what you say, but you really are telling us the truth. You generally, good men do not lie. So if you ask it that way and then you're quiet and let them answer, they'll tell you their activity level. They'll tell you. Sometimes I tell them, don't tell them all the gory details because they want to be so honest and open. But ask them, what kind of activities they do. And do I get regular checkups every year. I'm like the mammogram queen, no matter how old I get. How do you handle your health? Oh gosh, I never go to the doctor. I eat McDonald's every day. They'll tell you. So you don't have to say, how's your health? Ask them this nice, open-ended, broad question, and you'll be astounded if you're quiet what you will learn about the other person. Always, always, guaranteed.
Who else has a question that they'd like to ask? You can come off of mute, raise your hand.
Thank you for all the hearts. I'm glad you're enjoying this.
Good.
We're sure having fun.
Yeah, I think we have time for one more question. Mhm. All right, you want to give us, Christine, will you give us one of your like best favorite tips? Oh, we've got somebody who's willing to come off mute.
Great.
All right, Bray. Rob, talk to us.
Unmute, unmute.
I'm unmuted whenever y'all ready to hear me talk.
Okay, tell us,
I'm a
do you have
little,
a,
I'm a
do you
little
have
under the weather though.
all right, do you have a specific
Mm.
question? Because I know you've had a lot of different things, and we can't answer if you should be in a relationship with someone or not. That's up to you.
Right, right. Um, not necessarily. All I know is, to be honest with you, I'm not that old, but I am getting older. That person
Oh.
who had a question about the, I'm not trying to say too much. 'Cause I have my children in the background, but they're in the room playing their games and stuff. But let me slow it down. So one person was talking about the intercourse, of course. That's good. I love that question. But now my question is, how do I find the right man? I know you said you can't pick who I'm gonna date, but how do I find the right man that will understand me when it comes to my body? And I know I had kids, and they can say, "Well, you didn't have kids before. It ain't like you never did it." But how do I find the right guy that will understand my body and understand that I don't want to? I'm not no preacher. I love the Lord, but I do I do value my body. You understand that? And I don't want to just give it away right away. So what's the distance? What's the time frame when you decide to do it with the person? Because I know everybody has their own needs. So how do I find the right man that would understand that? That's my question.
So when you're
That's
confident about knowing who the right person is for you, invite that person in. Establish the foundation of the relationship so that you're connecting in meaningful ways to go from that chemistry of how interesting you are and learning about someone. And it's like the honeymoon phase. And then when you move into the casual phase of the relationship, that's more like getting an idea of what it's going to be like when you're sharing time with this person. We as mammals like to be able to anticipate what an experience is going to be like. And in that casual phase of the relationship, that's like listening to your favorite song. When you see them again, you kind of go, woo, and you get back into chemistry. But when that repeats, then that's the casual phase. And the other thing that happens in the casual phase of a relationship, so this is those shared experiences and repeated communication that build respect and over time develops trust. So as you're going through that process, there's another thing that happens in the casual phase. And this is, you're going to be like, oh, this person is asking for too much too soon. I want to, create a little distance here. And you can let them know, I'm looking forward to this part of our relationship, but I am not ready for this yet. I want to be able to be confident that we are monogamous and I don't want to have to worry about you being with someone else. Are we there yet? So this is how to up level the relationship, I think is what you're asking. In addition, this might throw a yellow flag, and so that's your invitation to ask open-ended questions, to find out a little bit more and do that research to find out what is going on. And if the answer, your observation or the answer to these questions actually throws the red flag, that's the signal that it's a deal breaker. You want to distance yourself from this person. Whereas if it's the green light, go, okay, I'm on track 4, then that's that handshake agreement that we are on the same page, we're in alignment from chemistry to casual to commitment, which when you understand you're both on the same page, it throws you both into chemistry again. So you get to cycle that through and up level the relationship in that way. So I wouldn't say it's on date 7, it's on 3 months, it's on whatever. These are, in this day and age, you get to make those decisions for yourself and in partnership with someone else through shared experiences, open communication, even if the communication is, you might think it's difficult and you might worry, if I bring this topic up, is it going to break us apart? That's okay. Then that's where you were meant to go. But if you can raise difficult topics in a way that they're not difficult to raise, that will actually bring you together and bond you in partnership, knowing that you're supporting one another in that relationship. Rob, did you have a question?
Yes, I asked a question before about disability and how much to share, but the other issue that I've been having is um, I chat for 2 or 3 weeks with someone and then ask them to meet up or ask them several times to meet up, and we never end up meeting up. So, um, so I'm just curious how much you see this as the changing culture versus people no longer interested.
I can speak to that, but do you want to?
I'll tell a little bit and you can.
Okay, then I'll finish her up.
So if someone's interested, they'll be interested. And as Michelle's explained, we both teach you to see, are you still interested in them, and how to find if they're still interested in you. And somebody that's interested will meet, if they can, if you're geographically desirable, right away. They'll want to meet right away. Somebody that keeps you off for a long time, either we haven't said enough to say, are you interested in who I am? And to really be clear about we're interested in them, or they're just biding their time and not a serious person. So learning how to vet that soon is really important. And I don't think generally there's a culture change. I think more of us are getting more clear about, I don't know how to do this. And so that's why we'd love to teach you how to do this part better. There's so many pieces that we get discouraged. And it's just, if you were learning pickleball and you could not get the ball in that corner where you want, you'd hire a coach. If you're not figuring it out on your own, you'd know to go hire a coach. That's what we're saying. If you, oh, this keeps happening, it's not the culture. It's that you just don't know how to do it better, but you could absolutely learn. Everybody can learn all of this if they're willing.
Thank you.
Nice. Yeah. So there was another aspect to that, but Christine, you brought something up that was super relevant. If you were trying to learn higher math, you'd get a teacher. If you were learning Spanish, you'd get a tutor. If you were trying to figure out what to do with your finances, you'd hire a professional financial person. If you needed someone who knew the law, you would hire an attorney. This is something that perhaps you didn't have the right role models growing up. You find yourself making the same in the same negative relationship patterns. If you're running into obstacles and pitfalls again and again in partnerships, and you'd like to learn the relationshiping skills to actually enjoy being in partnership with someone, then set up a strategy call with either Christine or me. So thank you. And we look forward to talking with you. There's no charge to those
And we
calls.
both offer a free call through our website.
Rob,
Thank
you were
you.
also mentioning disability. I have plenty
Hmm.
of clients who have something going on or another. And I have one client that I'll speak to. She and I actually had offices next to one another at Stanford University, and that's where we met. She did become a client. She was quite an athlete, and she was in an accident, and she's never going to walk again. However, once she got through that, she and I would go on races and runs, and I mean, this woman is still an athlete. She's in a wheelchair.
Hmm. I'm
So
on
in
I'm on crutches and getting past just the accessibility conversation or even talking about it, that's one of the first obstacles that I run into is
Okay.
people
Do
don't
you
want to
want
have those
quick,
conversations.
you want some quick tips from my perspective?
Sure.
Show up appropriately. So, for example, and here for everybody here, if you're interested in someone being interested in you, Rob, I'll do respect and love. Mostly what I can see is the inside of your nostrils. So what we want to do is get the camera in the right place and put some light on your face. There, you're already more approachable. Put about this much space above your head, a little bit. You'll watch on TV. There you go, already. I think we need the camera tipped a little bit, but already we can see you eye to eye. And that's what you want, I'm sure. You want to be able to meet someone and connect eye to eye. And then more than that, but we want to make sure you're showing up in a nice way. And look, you're already getting compliments in the comments. Nice looking man. Nice. So here's the other deal. If so, in the case of my client who's in a wheelchair, we want to represent ourselves genuinely because we want to say we are who we say we are. So, in the case of being in a wheelchair, for example, or on crutches, as you're saying, put a picture or two on your profile if that's where you're meeting someone, and if you're not meeting them in real life, put that first. You're having fun. In her case, she's skiing, she's whitewater river rafting, she's doing all the things, but she happens to be in a wheelchair. When that becomes, so that's, I call that circumstances. And what will happen is you will attract someone who doesn't see that as an issue, but they're looking for the depth of real connection with a real person in a real way. So there we go. We already like you that much more. So we want to, if I could tip that camera to be eye to eye with you, that would be amazing. Um, because then I'm getting to know you. And it's sort of like this, where it's like I can only see half the picture, when in reality, we want to get the best image of you and the best idea of who are you and what are you about. You have a millimeter of a moment to make a first impression and like 7 seconds max. So in those first 7 seconds, we want to make sure that that visual and the first things that we're talking about to represent you are the things that you want someone to fall in love with you for. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much.
Awesome. So that's
And I
why,
look forward
yay.
I look forward to a call.
Excellent. Excellent. Me too. So in those first 7 seconds, we want people to get an idea of who are you. You can, I mean, if you can put hands up when you first meet someone, or even one, that shows there's no weapons. I come in peace. Create some space between your ear and your shoulder. Shows that you're authentically listening. So, I mean, they're just some simple little, simple cues, but they make a big deal that we're not even aware of. When you lean in person, when you're with someone, smell actually tells you more than anything else. So make sure that you're dressed appropriately and you smell good. But what our unconscious knowledge of someone who is like, if you can smell someone, it's going to tell your brain this person will make a strong match. And that's where we get that, oh, I just want the chemistry. Ah. So those are some unstated things, but we need to make sure you can get to that point first. Sound good? Awesome. Thank you all for coming. Um, I think we'll put our contact information in the chat one more time. We're glad you're here. We hope that we've made a difference in not only your life, but your love life. And we look forward to future conversations with you. Thank you all so much. They got the link. Awesome. Great. Mwah. Thank you
Thanks
all.
for coming.
Take care.
Bye.